strategize together. Let's hear it from an expert. Join the conversation, it's informative and free. You and me, let's talk some strategy. Now here's your host, Dorien Morin-van.
Hey, everybody. Good morning. Christine and I are live in San Diego from Social Media Marketing World, and we're going to talk about...
Brand? No.
Live networking tips. Before we get started on the conversation, I want to welcome everybody who's here live. I also want to welcome everybody who watches this on the replay. Put #replay in the comments. Christine and I will go answer your questions if you have them. And if you're listening to this as a podcast, thank you for coming and listening to the podcast. And if you go to any live events in the next year or so, you need to be listening to this. Christine has experience as an attendee, a sponsor, a volunteer. They're all different kinds of experience when you go to live events, but we're talking networking. So the networking experiences are going to be different. So Christine, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, it's awesome to be here together. A couple of years ago, we were roommates at this conference. And
I'm sorry I snored.
That's quite okay. I think I forgot about that part. So we're here in San Diego. Let's talk about Social Media Marketing World real quick. What is it?
It is the Super Bowl of social media marketing events. I look forward to it all year. As I described to someone, so if you know a kid who's super into summer camp, like their sleepaway camp is their thing every year, they call it living 10 for 2. So they spend 10 months of the year looking forward to their 2 months at camp. So I'm living 51 for 1. I guess, in terms of like weeks of the year for Social Media Marketing World. It's a family reunion, basically, for our social media family. It's just, especially now, because Social Media Marketing World 2020 was right before the world shut down. And so we stocked up on hugs and human interaction, and that kept a lot of us sane. During this time.
And I can just tell you, I got here Friday to San Diego. The conference started yesterday, but we started seeing people in town, each other. The hugs are amazing. The longest hugs, and people just grab you. And it's just been so fun to meet back up with everybody.
Yeah.
So as the world opens back up and you're going to a live event, Christine is going to share some tips with all of us on how to get the most out of that, right? Because we're now used to being home and being with our families, being with our kids.
The social skills are rusty. Even if you were like super on it before, I have moments where I was like, wait, how do I people? Just because, it's a muscle you have to strengthen, and those muscles have atrophied.
Yes.
So it's good to be kind of on it and know what you're, and go in with a plan.
Right. So let's talk about all the different times you've been, and we're going to use Social Media Marketing World as an example since we're here, and you're in a new role this year, which is very exciting. So the first time you went, how did you attend?
So Social Media Marketing World 2017, I was very new to social media marketing. I had just decided in mid 2016, I'm a social media marketer now. I just kind of decided. And so I went to my first big conference was actually Inbound in 2016. But this is another level. This is its own thing. So I heard about Social Media Marketing World. Thankfully, a friend of mine had bought her cheapest possible ticket the last day of Social Media Marketing World 2016. So she had the lowest price. And then she couldn't go. She actually had a speaking gig in Amsterdam, of all places.
Oh, right.
So she had to not use her ticket. And so I was able to buy her cheap. It's an expensive conference. So I was able to buy her cheapest possible price ticket on installments because she's my friend. And she knows where I live. So I was able to pay her like $100 here and there. And so I came here. I didn't know anyone. And I don't just mean personally. Also the speaker list. I was like, okay, so those are names of humans. I don't know who they are. I don't follow them. I don't know that they're a big deal. I was like, I was a total newbie. certainly nobody knew who the heck I was. And I'm very sociable, but I also suffer from social anxiety, and it comes at inconvenient times. So I walked into Social Media Marketing World 2017, and I was in the corner texting my husband, being like, why is this hitting now? No. And he's like, go talk to people. I'm like, banana. You know, I was like, I don't know how to people. And so there was very, very smiley Leslie Samuel working the social media society table with all these different ribbons you can put on the bottom of your badge. And so I practiced out my peopling on him because he's super friendly.
And he's like the perfect person to do that.
He was the perfect person.
Yes.
And I tell him this story every year. And so I just kind of like dithered over which ribbon to pick, mostly because I was making conversation. Also, I didn't know which ribbon to pick. And so then once I had done that, I looked around. I'm like, okay, I have to leave this poor guy alone. So I looked around, and I saw these two friendly looking guys, and one of them was in a wheelchair, and he had his snap code because we still used Snapchat in 2017. He had his snap code printed out on the wheel of his wheelchair. And I'm like, you don't do that unless you're looking to start conversations with strangers. That is a conversation opener right there. Clearly, these are people to approach. And it was Andrew and Pete, who have become really good friends of mine. I've spoken at their conference. They're here hanging out. This is their first year not speaking since 2017, and they came anyway because they're awesome guys. But what a stroke of luck. And it was their first year speaking. So I'm like, oh, wait, I saw your pictures in the speaker brochure where you looked like you'd been blown up, which was by the glorious Laura Pearman. She made them look like they had been blown up. And they'd like soot on their faces and their hair was all crazy. It was amazing headshots.
Yeah.
And so I was like, well, geez, the first people I met were freaking speakers. You know, from here on out, it's fine.
Right.
They gave me swag, they give me a beach ball.
See, these are the memorable moments.
These
so
are the
I want
memorable
to
moments.
just put that back in perspective. When you start meeting people, especially at a big conference, one way to meet people and network with people is to have a strategy before you go.
And they did.
So they had a snap code. People might have it on the front of their phone, right? You put your LinkedIn QR code or something. You can give something away. There are different ways. This year, I did something cool. I think it's cool. I'm going to just give you that example. I bought a bunch of Starbucks gift cards. They're $5, right? You can no, you can have one. But there's a sticker on there. I don't know if you can read it, but the sticker says, next time we meet, my treat. And it has my phone number on it. So I'm giving this to people who I want to have a continuous conversation with.
Value.
That is value. So hopefully. But I thought about what I want to do. I want to meet 20 people for a cup of coffee. Now, I don't want to drink 20 cups of coffee. So I'm hoping some people will take this, go to the airport, pull this out, have a coffee on me, call me, and set up a Zoom call. So that is I want to meet 20 people and have a one-on-one conversation. That is my goal this year.
That is so smart. Okay, now I'm taking notes. My main learning from 2017 was talk to strangers. I also realized that at some conferences, the speakers are in the VIP room until the moment they're whisked on stage, and then they hightail it back to the airport. And Social Media Marketing World is actively not like that. They make it clear they want the speakers to be attendees. They don't look very highly on it. They generally stay until every last fan is done. It has to move. The crowd has to move out into the hallway because they need to prep the room for the next session. But they do. Like every speaker I've ever attempted to speak to after a session has just stayed into the last person. So I noticed that quickly. And even though I didn't know who these people were, I was there to learn that year because I was a newbie and I knew nothing. And I still use every day in my job things I learned at that conference. Because of course here they're cutting edge, and so a lot of the things are still valid, even though social media changes a lot. So anyway, so I talked to people after the sessions. I talked to the speakers after the sessions. I selfied with them. I did little videos with them. That was huge because A, some of them still remember who I am from that. B, it increased the learning, and C, part I'll talk about next in a minute, is that enabled me to continue some of those relationships.
Right. So I just want to acknowledge that there's some people here those are my relationships, right? Maria is here joining us from Romania.
Hi.
Maria. She's from Social Insider, who is one of our sponsors of our
I'm going to a
show.
Social Insider thing today. I'm going to a brunch with them.
That's awesome. Wonderful. James Tucker is here from the Canary Islands. Emma's here from the south of France. Talk about international audience, right? So I just want to welcome them. So the first time you went to learn, you met people, you took lots of pictures. What was next, Christine?
So what was next is right after that, I started my first live show series called Social. I started that in April 2017. And I said, you know what? I want to keep in touch with some of these people. I'm going to ask some of them to be guests on my show. 2 big name speakers, technically 3, who I was very happy to get on my show that year were Andrew and Pete. So that's 1 big name, but 2 big names. They came on my show, which was amazing. And that was fantastic. And that also deepened the relationship because, you know, they had more conversations with me. And then Brian Fanzo came on my show too. And Brian Fanzo gave me a lot of the tips that I use now. He said to pre-network. So this is my next tip, pre-network. So a lot of conferences have hashtags. So we're at hashtag SMMW22 right now. You don't have to just use them during the conference. Oh, another thing I did, sorry, but this is a bigger thing in later years, is I live tweet sessions and I use the conference hashtag and I tag the speakers. That gets the speaker's attention, gets other people's attention, and it gets me on the leaderboard because there are other companies, especially Metricool, that like track and promote, here's the people who are tweeting the most at this event because they want to benefit from that traffic too. So that also helped me. People were like, oh, you're the girl who's tweeting. So Brian pointed out, you can start looking at that hashtag in advance. You can start looking at, you know, a March conference's hashtag in like the previous November, and there's going to be people who are excited enough that they're using it. This worked to my benefit for Social Media Marketing World 2018. I started looking at the hashtag nice and early, and people who were having conversations about it, I hopped in on those conversations. I said, I'm going to be there too. Let's meet. I made a Twitter list. One of those relationships is this guy had written a blog about here's 10 non-speakers you need to make sure to meet at Social Media Marketing World 2018.
Did he put you on the list?
No, because I wasn't a thing yet. I wasn't a thing yet.
Okay.
But 10 non-speakers to try to meet at Social Media Marketing. Now I'd be on the list. Like that.
Of course.
Yeah.
I think I would make the list too.
Yeah. I mean, I'd rather be on the list of speakers, but you know. So I looked at that and I said, oh, I have to check these people out. And I jumped in on his Twitter thread where he had posted the article and he was having conversations in there. And I started having conversations with the people who were on the thread.
Look at the sun coming up
I know,
behind
it's beautiful.
you. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
The sun's coming up right behind us right here in San Diego. La, 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 la.
And that was Chris Strub.
Oh, that was smart.
Yeah. So Chris Strub was networking his ass off in advance and having all these conversations. And so he hopped in. And by the time the conference rolled around, we were like, priority number 1 was meeting each other. The second we met, we made a GIF. It was my first GIF. I have well over 100 GIFs on Giphy now. I'm the GIF queen. This was the first time I'm like, you can make them yourself? So he and I like made one the second we met, which was adorable. 2018, yes, I was still here to learn. But unlike 2017, I realized, oh no, the biggest thing I can do here is relationships. So 2018, I was on fire. 2018 is probably the most on it I've literally ever been in terms of networking my ass off at a conference. I met everybody. I met people who I talk to literally every single day still. People who I would be friends with still if I left this industry tomorrow. Those people. Met a lot of them at Social Media Marketing World 2018.
So I just want to interrupt here for a second.
Yeah.
So this is a very special conference. If you're in a different industry, right? If you're watching this, you've got to go to the industry, of course, that you're in. But this culture of connecting and giving is special to this, but it doesn't mean that you can't apply these same tips that Christine is giving us to a conference that you go to, right? And we also understand there's cultural differences. And this conference is in America, right? US. There are people here from Europe that love this kind of networking, but it might be different. It doesn't mean you can't do it and you can't stand out and be different.
Bring this culture
to where you're going, even if it's maybe a boring conference like bioscience. I don't know. You could still.
They know how to party.
Right. They know how to party, but you can still have props. You can have QR codes. You can connect. You can say, hey, do you want to meet up? It's human to human connections. That is what's making all the difference.
And you don't have to be a social media marketer to leverage social media. It's for everyone.
Yeah.
So 2018, I was networking my ass off. And one of my tips for keeping track of people, because again, the problem is when you meet so many people, how do you keep in touch? You can't just, exchange a million business cards and hope you go through that pile later. I selfie with people a lot. So what I did was I'd selfie with people, and then in that moment, I would post it and I'd say, tag yourself.
Oh.
So now we had a record of that relationship.
You know what I do, which is similar but different. I take 2 pictures. I have one of them. I have them hold it up with their name tag.
Oh, that's
and
so
I say
smart.
smile. So I have a photo with their
shot.
face, the mugshot, and their
it.
name. And then we do a selfie. So then I have the album. After the conference, I tag everybody because now I'm connected with everybody.
You're so smart.
So it's the same thing.
I'm going to do that this time now.
Okay. It makes it a little bit easier so you don't have to take that picture and then go right on.
I'm going to do that this time now.
Okay.
Another thing that I did is my personal branding was on point. I dyed my hair bright freaking red. I had the red lipstick. And by this point, some people did know who I was from social. But if they didn't at the beginning, they did by the end because I was very noticeable. I was standing out at 2018.
Right.
So 2018, that was great. And and I met people and it was great. 2019, I volunteered because it's an expensive conference.
And we were roomies that year.
Yes. So 2019, because we met at Inbound in 2018 because we were speaking at Inbound in Boston. And that was great. That was another thing. Because of the relationships I made at Social Media Marketing World in 2018, when I went to go speak at Inbound in 2018, a lot of those relationships carried through. I got invited to a private dinner. I got invited to private parties with brands. This was new to me. I had not been invited to brand stuff until then, but it was because of my Social Media Marketing World relationships that I got invited to that stuff at Inbound. So that's another lesson. You can keep those relationships going and they can serve you at different conferences. That same year, I partnered with a bunch of people who I met through World for something called Road to Social. So a bunch of us went to Social Media Week Lima, Social Media Day Wichita, and Social Media Day Denver all together. So again, leveraging those relationships across conferences. And my live tweeting, I was on the leaderboard at World 18 of tweeting my butt off. Speakers took note. And so now I'm friends with some of the speakers from that conference because they reached out to me and they said, hey, this was really valuable. Thank you for live tweeting all that. You said it better than I said it. And I kept those conversations going. One of them was Madeline Sklar, the queen of Twitter. Her Twitter Smarter chat inspired my own chat about brand, and she's a very generous person. So when I said, hey, I'm going to start a Twitter chat, she said, here's all the stuff I wish I knew. Here's some stuff that'll help you be successful. She helped hype it because I'm not freaking competition,
Right.
But she wanted to support me in success, which was great.
Let's talk about that.
Let's.
I know we have like a couple minutes left because we want to keep it short, but there is no competition here. We are all marketers. We lift each other up. We don't pull each other down.
Success is not a single pie. Success is a freaking
Everybody
bakery
together.
where they're constantly making more pies. There's enough pie for everyone, you guys.
Yeah, and so that here at Social Media Marketing World, it really shines through.
Yes.
There's no, well, you're doing this and that. I'm not going to tell you how I do it. People help each other, and within this industry, that is great to see. It's wonderful. Yes, just want to point that out.
So I know you want to finish up, but I will say
Yes.
that those early years, those are my key learnings that I keep leveraging to this very day. Be online, be part of the conversations that are already happening in advance. Talk to strangers, both online and off. I know people hate it when I say talk to strangers because it's like you do have to be careful about security, but I didn't say find someone who's using the hashtag and send them your social security number, your home address, and pictures of your kids. Just, start the conversation, make sure that you keep in touch with each other, keep track, keep those relationships going. And you never know where it will lead. So I now work for Agorapulse, which is the head sponsor here today. And the whole reason I'm connected with Agorapulse is because people I met through conferences all had relationships with Agorapulse. And finally I said to Agorapulse years ago, I said, all my friends are using Agorapulse. Tell me about it. And Mike Alton brought me in as one of his ambassadors, basically. For years, I was the worst ambassador. I brought in no money, but I brought enthusiasm. And years later, when I decided it was time to look for a job, just this past November, first place I looked was Agorapulse. I said, I know this company. I know their culture. I know they're good peeps. And my connections helped me get the job. Doreen was one of my references. Thank you, Doreen. And I got the job. So now I'm happily working for an amazing company that I didn't know existed until I made relationships at conferences, got to know people who were doing good things, and found out who they liked and respected.
All right, so we're going to wrap it up with practical tips. You walk into a conference, you're alone, you've traveled hours. The theme of this conference is everybody had flying trouble. Flights changed, crew didn't show up, all kinds of stuff. You get here, you're exhausted, you're ready to network. What are some things that you should absolutely do?
Smile.
Smile.
Approach strangers. Ask them about themselves. Keep track of who the heck they are, because it's so easy to have conversations and be like, who did I just talk to? Mm-hmm. Don't worry about the fact that you don't remember the name of that person who you just met last night, who's greeting you this morning like an old friend.
Just hug them.
Hopefully they've got their badge on and you can very subtly I had a whole conversation this morning with someone who I know, but my brain wasn't firing. And so I just made polite conversation. And then at the end, I was like, oh, duh. I didn't say I forgot who you were, but at the end I mentioned something about them personally, and that confirmed to that I was talking to the right person. But yeah, just do it. Everyone feels awkward about it. So don't feel like I'm going to be the weirdo. You're not.
Right.
These are humans.
And then I have to add that if you see somebody by themselves that looks a little lost, a smile will start the conversation.
Really
Smile
will.
at them, make eye contact, and I know we're kind of post-COVID, fist bump, high five. If you feel like it, elbow, have that conversation.
You don't have to do this and smush your face right up to
I know, you don't have to, but we do.
Don't do that to strangers.
Right, don't do that to strangers.
Hey, Lisa.
But, so all my friends are here. Yay, it's so great. Emma will get you some swag. Just reach out, because and then if there's a group, right? If there's a group, look for the person in the group, if they're sitting in a circle, who's not talking.
Mm-hmm.
If you look for the person who's not talking but's listening, go stand next to them and start that conversation, and just practice. So we're going to wrap up. I'm going to go volunteer this year. I am a volunteer at Social Media Marketing World, which I love. I registered a ton of people yesterday. Today I'm going to be a greeter. Then there's going to be an amazing keynote. But
I'm going to be tweeting like crazy, not as me, but as the Social Media Pulse community.
So what's the hashtag?
So the Twitter channel, the Twitter handle is at SMP, which stands for Social Media Pulse _community. And so I'm going to be tweeting the keynotes as Social Media Pulse. I'm the senior editor for Social Media Pulse. So if you'd like to write for us, reach out, please. I need content. But today I'm contenting my butt off.
That's awesome.
Because, Social Media Pulse's community wants to know what's happening in social media marketing world. A lot of them are here, but the ones who aren't, they need to know what's going on.
They need to know. It's wonderful. So connect with Christine. Look for the hashtag. Even if you're not here, you can be part of the conversation. Mm-hmm. Thank you, Lisa Monks. She's just put it right in there.
She's got my back.
Yeah.
It's not a hashtag, though. It's the handle.
It's the handle.
Hashtag I'm using is SMMW22.
Yeah. Awesome. But really appreciate all of you watching this live. Reach out to Christine. Check out Social Pulse Community. Is it live now?
It is. It launched yesterday morning.
That's so exciting.
We're crazy.
That's exciting. So thank you so much, all of you, for watching live. If you were here on the replay, again, if you have questions for us about this conference or networking, go ahead and ask. We'll monitor conversations. And if you're listening to this on the podcast, thank you so much for being here. We're going to go say goodbye now.
Bye.
And we're going to go enjoy our time out here. See you later, everybody.
Bye.